Hey guys, it's Marshall Kirby from Orchard Hill Farm Equipment, and today we're going to be comparing two tractors. This is a DK and this is a CK Coyote, both open station. We've been doing a lot of comparison videos lately, and we want to continue to do those. It seems that a lot of those are helpful for people in the buying process, and pretty much just want to go through why you might need a CK or you might need a DK tractor today, some of their differences, different specs and horsepower ratings and all that. So the CK Series is, obviously a smaller size tractor. It runs about 60 inches wide tire to tire, and comes in 24.5 horsepower, 35, and then 40 horsepower. So there's three models, and that's just for the open station. We're going to do another video on the cabs of these two comparisons in the future. So, but basically 25, 35, and 40 horsepower. The DK has a little bit more options. So there is a DK base model, which is what we're looking at today, only comes in shuttle shift. That is available in a 45, a 50, and a 55 horsepower. And then there is the SE version, which is available in 40 horsepower, 45, 50, and right around 60 horsepower. So all of which in the CK and all of which in the DK are all the same size tractor. So when you're looking at a DK, the 40 horsepower version is going to be the same size as the 60 horsepower, and a lot of people don't understand that. And it's important to know those things. So if you're just looking for the weight of the tractor, the lift capacity, the tire size, a lot of things like that, you're going to get the same from the smallest to the largest. What you're mainly getting by going up in horsepower is exactly that, just horsepower. So when it comes to mowing, running big heavy duty PTO implements, right, wood chippers, stump grinders, all that stuff, that's where that extra horsepower is going to come into play. Again, also if you have hilly terrain, the extra horsepower is going to shine on those hills a little bit more, et cetera, et cetera. So just wanted to get that point across. Let's dive into some of their differences though. We'll kind of go over them. So to start off, we'll talk about the loaders in the front bucket. So on the CK, you have a KL 4030 as well as a KL 40C. Some are going to be equipped with a C, some are going to be equipped with a straight KL 4030. They pretty much spec out the same. The lift height is very close to each other, running right around 98 inches tall to the bottom of the pivot pin at full height. The lift capacity on the loader is right around 1,900 pounds, and breakout force and stuff like that are going to be a little bit higher. This loader oftentimes 66 inch. It's not any cheaper though, so most of our customers come in and choose a 66. It's skid steer quick attach, universal style, so you can pop the bucket right off. All the grease fittings are inner tubed. Comes with a bucket level indicator as well on there to help you gauge whether your bucket's flush with the ground. A grill guard standard, and it is a quick park loader, quick release, so you can drop these kickstands down and then pull your pins on the other side and quick disconnect hydraulic lines. So loader wise, that's what the CK has to offer. We jump over here, the DK. DKs are going to be equipped with a KL 5520 or a KL 5521, both of which again are going to lift up within the same reason weight wise, which is right around 24 to 2,500 pounds at pivot pin to full height. And I want to say, don't hold me to the exact number, but I want to say the DK lift height is around 109, 108, 110 inches to full height. So you gain roughly about a foot or 10 inches of ground height from your loader to the, from the bottom of the loader to the ground. And, roughly about 500 pounds, 600 pounds of lift capacity. If you need to pick up 2,000 pounds on forks, the DK is kind of the starting tractor for that. If you need to pick up 2,000 pounds on forks with a CK, it kind of isn't really made to do it. Could you maybe get a pallet of pellets and still move it around potentially if you had the right counterweight and ballast, and maybe if you took off 5 bags? Is it going to unload 20 pallets of those pellets out of a flatbed of a truck? No, you would definitely want DK or bigger at minimum to do a job like that. So when people come in, oftentimes they mention that I want to lift 2,000 pounds on forks. the DK really is the safer starting point where it starts to be able to achieve that. Because you also have to figure forks are about 3 to 4 feet further out than the actual spec of 2,500 pounds at the pin, right? So that's going to drop you 400 or 500 pounds off that and leave you with about 1,900 pounds on a DK when it specs out at 2,500. So keep that in mind. Definitely an important thing to know. Also has a bucket level indicator, grill guard, inner tube grease fittings. Just overall a good setup. 72-inch quick attach front bucket here, skid steer style. So this comes standard with a 72, but you also have the choice for a 66 if you prefer. The headlights on both these are LED, which is a nice feature. That's something that all of the CK and DK tractors come standard with now, which is a great upgrade from the modern, to the modern day machines. The loader on the DK is also a quick park loader with those same kickstands, quick disconnects, and pull pins on the side. So basically, that's the loader difference. We're not going to get into underneath the hoods. If you want more in depth on that, we have other full walkthroughs on both these models, but hood design is pretty much the same. Obviously, a little bit more horsepower under here. In the DK series, you are going to get a turbocharger on the engines of 45 horsepower and up. So this is a DK 4520. It's going to have a turbocharger on the engine and a 3-cylinder diesel. The 40 and below, as well as the CK, are just regular 3-cylinder non-turbo engines. The CK 2620 is the only one out of all of these that has no emissions and no regen system. The regen system is the same throughout all these. They don't require DEF fluid on any of them, just diesel fuel. And go into an auto regen every, say, 30 to 60 hours of use. Really haven't given us any hiccups or headaches to this day. They've been a pretty darn reliable system. But if you're looking for one without any of that, the CK 2620 is going to be your golden pick there. Tires. We'll move to tires next. Both these are pictured with R14s. So these in the front are 10-16 5s. Those on the CK here are 27 by 8.5-15s. So a little bit smaller, a little narrower. And the backs as well, 15-19 5s. I want to say these are 14. Consider them a 320/85 R24. But as we can see, bigger tires on the DK, smaller tires on the CK. So that's something that comes into play when upgrading to a bigger tractor chassis. And there's 4 tire choices on all these. These are R14s, but you can get turf, ag, industrial, or the R14, which is a hybrid of all of them. The rear wheels on a DK on, I believe, every single tire choice, maybe except turf. Yeah, except turf, are going to have the centers reversible, which means you can widen the stance or narrow the stance. The CK, you cannot do that unless you go with the ag tires. So you have to get R1 ag tires on the CK to be able to invert and make it a wider stance or a narrower stance. The loader, one thing I should point out after that I'm noticing that I didn't talk about on the loaders. This right here, the loader on the DK lifts a lot more, and therefore it has a frame that connects to the back axle. So that frame right there connects to the loader and connects to the rear end. The CK doesn't have that, doesn't really have the need for it, doesn't have the lift capacity to need to have that extra bracing and whatnot. So that's slightly different there. The front axle is similar in size. This is obviously a little bit wider, pretty much the same setup. There's a grease fitting on each knuckle on each end, power steering in front of the front axle. Not a major difference there other than just maybe a little bit more, width on the DK to be expected. The transmission options here on this tractor. So like I said, the DK has a base series, which we're looking at. This is a shuttle shift, and then an SE. The SE only comes in hydrostatic and offers a floorboard and rear hydraulic remotes. Whereas the base doesn't have the floorboard, doesn't have the remotes, and is only mechanical shuttle. So the DK comes in hydrostatic or shuttle shift, mechanical shuttle, meaning you got to clutch through everything. You want to go forward and inverse, you're clutching. Forward and inverse with this lever. Low and high, you're clutching. 1, 2, 3, 4, you're clutching. And then, like I said, hydrostatic. The CK over there is going to have, and we'll take a peek at this. This is the hydrostatic one. So the transmission over here, you're going to notice these pedals are designed with the 2-pedal layout. So basically forward and reverse, this is hydrostatic, and this is the same pedal layout that you'll get on the DK. And 3-range transmission, just like the DK. If you want a CK, there is a straight gear drive CK. What does that mean? There's no shuttle shift on the side of the steering wheel here like the DK has. You get a low, medium, and high, and a 1, 2, 3 with a reverse in it. So that's a 9x3 transmission, and that's what you get. Now, if we really want to get into it, there is an SE version of the CK, which offers only 35 and 40 horsepower without a cab. That does offer a mechanical shuttle 12x12 transmission, somewhat similar to that DK shuttle transmission forward and reverse. So that is an option. I don't want to get too confusing here, but that is the difference in the transmissions. All of them are going to have four-wheel drive and differential locks, which on the CK are located here. The DK is in almost the same spots. All of them are going to obviously have a loader joystick valve, but we should point that out. So the CK, every single one of them is what I would call a fender mount close to your seat. Very user and ergonomic friendly. Option to add third function to it here with a loader lock. We're going to go over to the DK and talk about that. And that's something that is kind of majorly different. So the DK one here is right here. And now we're going to talk about this. So this is a DK base model. Only the DK base is going to have the loader joystick off of the loader here, which some people can't stand. Some people love it. Some people hate it. So only the shuttle shift models are going to have this. If you go with a cab DK and or an SE, that fender joystick is going to get located right about here where the 4-speed stick shift is. Because, right, if we got a hydrostatic, we eliminate this 4-speed stick. So you get a loader joystick right here, and this vanishes. So slight difference in the joystick, but only if you go with the straight shuttle shift model DK. Seats are identical on both. They're going to have a forward and reverse adjustment with the side pull latch, and also a compression adjustment right there to adjust the compression up and down on that sponginess of the seat. Folding roll bar on both, that will be identical on both tractors. Fender handles on both. There's a cup holder on both. 3-point hitch on both. Tilt steering wheel, that is available on the DK, on every DK. It is not standard on the CK over here. So the CK over here has a just straight locked in steering wheel. And you'll see that only the SE special edition CKs are going to have that tilt steering wheel. So if that's an important feature for you, maybe look into that. Both of them have a traditional 540 regular PTO. This one is a clutched PTO. You push in on the clutch and you pull that lever forward. When you let out a clutch, it engages your PTO. When we go over to the DK, that's going to be a slight difference that we'll slightly notice. Kind of be a little hard to see. It's right in back of the seat over here. So you're going to notice a push button right down here. So that is your PTO. So electric hydraulic independent PTO right here. Push it on, turns on your PTO. Push it off, turns off your PTO. So little difference on the PTO. That's probably an important thing. Other big differences that we'll talk about are going to be fuel tank. That's a slight difference. So let's look at where it is on the CK, and then we'll take a peek at the DK as well. And tank size too, that's also a difference. Right around 9 gallons, give or take half a gallon in the CK, right in the back here, above all the 3-point hitch. Pretty easy access. The DK is hidden underneath. So it's underneath the floorboard. I want to say it's 12 to 14 gallons, somewhere in that range. So it's got to hold more fuel. Obviously, it's not going to go in back of the seat. It's a good fuel tank. A lot of people worry, oh, it's underneath. That scares me a little bit. There's some nice metal plating up front here. Number one, the tank is insanely thick plastic. I have sold one of these tanks in the last 10 years, and they have been on every DK and model above pretty much since 2010. So that tells you anything. I really don't see a lot of fuel tanks going bad. There's also some plating underneath. You got the loader frame going underneath. Not really a huge concern. If anything, I like this better. You can, you know, hold a fuel tank or 5-gallon pail a lot closer instead of holding it up high. But both do the trick quite well. So that is an important difference. Ground speed. The DK is going to have a little bit higher ground speed than the CK. And these numbers I'm not going to remember off the top of my head. So I'm going to probably look at my cheat sheet here. Low, high. All right. So DK, we're going to max out in high range around 15 and a half miles per hour, maybe give or take a half mile an hour. And I want to say the CK is 12 and a half to 13. So slight difference in speed, a couple miles an hour on DK, which, you know, can come into play for certain things. Splittable brakes, we didn't talk about that. So CK hydro drive does not have splittable brakes, only the gear drive. DK has splittable brakes on both the hydro and the shuttle shift model, the base model. So you get them on all of the DKs. So that's a difference as well. We'll talk about 3-point hitch. Move our way to the back now. So your 3-point hitch on this is just a basic 3-point hitch with your turnbuckles on the side, one adjustment link on the side 3-point hitch arm, full category 1 drawbar. The DK will only be category 1 up until the 45 horse models. Once you go 50 and above, it will start to become category 2. So that makes the pin size bigger, but all the rest of it is the same. Lift and lower mechanism for the 3-point hitch on the DK standard. The CK it is not unless you get a cab. Up to 2 addable remotes to the back of this. The CK is also up to 2. So that's the same. And again, 540 PTO back here. Not a whole lot difference between the two. Well, you know, different rear end, but we'll look at the CK real briefly. Check out that rear axle. And you'll see a lot of the same stuff going on, you know, 3-point hitch and turnbuckle, drawbar, PTO. So nothing too crazy back here. That, I think, kind of sums up the majority of what I wanted to point out as some of the differences between these tractors. It is always a tough choice for people which one to choose. The pricing obviously can be different between them. There's so many models that differ, so it's tough for me to say, hey, it's X amount more to upgrade to a DK, because it can change quite often. You know, we're looking at the 25 horse, for example, and we go up to the 40 horse DK. It's a big jump in horsepower, big jump in frame size, so it could be drastic. Whereas we're looking at the 40 horse CK and the 40 horse DK, those numbers get pretty close. So attachments, all of them offer attachments, you know, backhoe 7.5 foot, backhoe 8.5 foot, so slight difference on the backhoes. There's plenty of other minor differences, but I think we got through the majority of them. I would say if I had to sum it up and we were looking at just a landowner perspective, I think the CK is more commonly fit for people with 5 to maybe 15 acres, maybe even 20 and 30 acres, but it would be on, I'd say, the smaller side for that size property. And then the DK is more like a lot more people with like 15 to 50 acres. And again, don't use that acreage to make it pinpoint what you need to buy. It's just the majority of customers that have that size property are going for this over this, and vice versa. So like, obviously loader lift capacity can come into it and make it so, hey, you want a CK, but you can't because you need to lift up 2,000 pounds on a daily basis. You need this, right? So all those little things come into play, and sometimes width comes into play. You know, 66 on the bucket, 72 on the bucket, but tire to tire, about 60 to 68 or 70. So, you know, that extra width, maybe that helps you not get in certain areas that can come into play and be important. Length, fitting it in a garage, that can be slightly different. I'm going to say the DK is about 1 foot longer in total length, or 1/2 foot longer anyways, maybe even 1.5 feet. So, you know, take all these things into consideration. I want you to use all this information to your benefit and help you guys figure out what you feel is best, not necessarily tell you what is the tractor for you, because everybody's situation is obviously different. Physical weights are the only thing we really didn't touch on that are very, very important. And the weight of the CK is about 2,700 pounds plus the loader. So the loader's about 1,000 on the money. So 3,700 pounds dry weight, just the way we see it from the factory. No ballast, just the loader. And the DK, I want to say, is right around, I believe it's about 400 to 500 pounds more on the tractor, and then another probably 50 to 100 pounds more on the loader. So all said and done, the DK does achieve over 4,000 pound weight rating. I think it's 4,300 maybe with the loader, 4,400, somewhere in that category. Don't hold me to the exact numbers, but so there's a weight difference there too that, you know, comes into play. I hope this video helps you guys out. Obviously, if you got questions, interested in getting a quote worked up on one of these and are local to the New England area, give us a call, 413-253-5456, or visit us on our website, www.orchardhillsales.com.